This Nikon D80 is an old CCD based Nikon DSLR that can produce wonderful images, but just how much camera do we get if we today choose this camera? We'll look at that in this video. Welcome to my channel, where often I look at older alternatives to modern cameras. I do this both because I advise on how to save money on the gear, and as the look of vintage cameras has actually become popular again. And I love that look myself. I've been shooting many analog cameras alongside expensive digital cameras due to the fact that I adore the look of film, its grain and its organic look. A couple of years ago I also started using older digital cameras again, and I found that especially those like this one with CCD sensors had a more pleasing look than the digital look of many modern digital cameras. It's not that I dislike modern cameras for artistic use, I just tend to prefer the look of older sensors, the look older sensors can provide. For some of my work I definitely use professional grade modern cameras, but when I explore photography for the joy of it, I actually go for older digital cameras, or even use analog film-based cameras. The Nikon D80 that we're having a look at today fits well into this scheme, being a CCD sensor-based camera from 2006. One camera that is praised by many for its outstanding image quality and was even used by professionals back in the day is the semi-professional Nikon D200. And the funny thing is that the D80 is actually almost the same camera in a cheaper version, just made with enthusiasts as the target group. There are a few differences, but for most photographers they are not important. The D80 is mostly a plastic version of the D200, which means it is also lighter, actually quite a lot lighter. The D200 has a bit faster frame rate of 5 versus the 3 of the D80, but none of these cameras are sports shooter cameras anyway. In very bright sun, the shortest shutter time of the D200 of 1/8000th of a second can sometimes be handy, but for 99.99% of my shooting, the 1/4000th of a second shortest shutter time of the D80 is enough. When I looked through my database, I actually found very few shots done at the 1/8000th of a second, and none of them from the D100 that I still own and love to use, and that camera, like the D200, can shoot at 1/8000th of a second. You have more information in the viewfinder on the D200. There's ISO, exposure mode and meta mode. For me those things are not big things, as I usually decide all these settings before taking the camera to my eye. Actually, I prefer the uncluttered view of the D80. I would like the D80 to have 𝘱𝘳𝘦𝘴𝘴, the mirror lockup of the D200. When shooting slow shutter speeds on a tripod, the mirror slap can cause blur, and the 𝘱𝘱𝘦𝘴𝘴 would help minimize the camera movement. There's still movement of the shutter itself, but that doesn't create as much shake as the mirror slap. There's one big advantage of the D80, the battery life, which is double that of the D200 and far more than any modern mirrorless camera can provide. The viewfinder of the D80 gives a larger and slightly brighter view, but I don't find the viewfinder of the D200 cramped or dark. They are both pentaprism with viewfinders, much better than cheaper models with pentamirror viewfinders. But let's look more closely at the D80 and what it can do for the photographer. There's a depth of field button, a thing I love, as I'm almost obsessed with being in control of the sharpness in my image, whether that be securing a nice background blur, or in a portrait for instance, or wanting to have my landscape sharp from foreground to background. It has a dedicated exposure bracketing button, so you can easily set the sequence and the difference between your exposures in bracketing. The status display on the top of the camera has a lot of information. It's typical for enthusiasts cameras like this one, but it's one of my favorite items when choosing a camera. With this, it's so easy to make your camera ready for shooting before you take it to the eye. The most important settings are also visible in the viewfinder, so you can change these with the camera for your eye. The camera is compatible with lenses for the screw for autofocus and the newer lenses with the built-in autofocus motor. But with older lenses, there's not much help in regards to focus or metering. Now let's look at some images shot with this camera. As you might see, even with the YouTube compression, this camera can produce really nice images, and I have even enlarged some of these up to A2 with very good results. Thus, you don't need to worry about the 10 megapixels that is the resolution of this camera. It's adequate for most purposes. I like the functionality, the size and the weight of this camera a lot. So it has been a joy to shoot during this review. I also hope you liked my review, and if you did, please consider subscribing to my channel and also hit the like button, which will help me bring more content and informative content to you. So thank you very much for this time, and bye for now.